Hi, I'm Hannah Kuntz.
And I'm Stomach Boji, and you're watching AU360. For our first story, Andy Barra at Katzen Art Center is going to show us around the recent exhibit that deconstructs the myth behind American culture.
Today we are going to explore the American myth through the Homeland exhibit. This exhibit confronts the question behind the American promise. I'm here with Jack Rasmussen, the director of the Katzen Art Center.
We focus on politically and socially engaged art because nobody else does in Washington, and we can get away with it. It contributes to an environment where people are confronting new ideas and encouraged to engage in a dialogue about what they're seeing, as opposed to being told what they're seeing.
Next, we talk to the curator about his image behind creating this exhibit that deconstructs American culture.
The question started to become, well, what exactly is American culture? Is it like this thing that we assimilate to? Is it a myth that is created by media and iconography? Like, is there an actual American culture?
This exhibit will be open until August 7 at the Katzen Art Center. Now back to you.
Thanks, Martine. Do you know both of the curators of the exhibit are American University alum? Good job.
Going to college is the start of a new chapter in your life. It's the start of adulthood. Many people consider college as this huge melting pot full of opportunities and friendships, while others may feel lost and unsure on exactly where they fit in. For this next story, Kiara Rich was able to speak with some TAs here at NSLC to get their perspectives on diversity as well as inclusivity on their college campuses.
My name is Xavier Washington. A lot of people just call me Zay. I am a Black queer man.
My name is Jeff Grundy. I'm straight. I'm Chinese and Australian.
My name is Davida Patty. My sexual preferences are heterosexual.
My name is Danny Fisher. I am queer.
I go to Emerson College.
And I go to the University of Scranton.
I go to Mississippi State University.
I attend the University of Missouri.
I definitely think Mississippi State is more diverse than what it sounds.
I think definitely it starts with the professors. I've never had a professor that was either
my skin color
or just had a different race or ethnicity.
I feel like there's a very big culture, specifically in my school, of trying to push this appearance of diversity and this appearance of being all accepting and inclusive. I definitely believe that specifically on the fields of sexual orientation and personal identity, my school does a pretty good job of doing that. We're very upfront and clear about our pronouns, how we'd like to be referred to in classrooms. But specifically for diversity, I do believe that it is a little bit of what you would call an admission scam.
I think the most important thing that I have been doing is just making sure that we are all listening to each other. And SLC is all about conversations and leadership with people that you might not otherwise interact with. And so facilitating that is the most important thing.
Thanks, Kiara. It's interesting to hear more about the different ways colleges around the country handle diversity among students and find out more about the true inclusion happening behind the scenes.
Up next, we have a topic that weighs on the conscience of students and teachers at campuses across the nation. Though the impetus for the following report is disturbing, these conversations are timely, thought-provoking, and ultimately hopeful.
I spoke to a sample of American University staff, students, and visitors to glean an insight into the various stances on gun legislation following the recent spate of shootings in schools and communal spaces.
Absolutely, the first step is just common sense gun laws.
We need things like red flag laws like the Senate and House have been talking about recently. I think we need universal background checks for all gun owners, and I think we need increased mental health screening.
So red flag laws that are looking at mental health are missing the fact that mental health and personality disorders are two very different things.
It boils down to if your behavior is bad, it's because your mind isn't set right. So I think there needs to be a lot more mental health resources for people.
And we need better education systems in our schools about these shootings because, like it or not, they are a reality in our world right now. And we have to make sure we're preparing our teachers and students if, in the event one of these were to happen to them.
Is there any reason for anyone in schools to have a firearm?
No.
I still believe that we should have the right to bear arms, but certain weapons should be off limits to citizens. No regular guy on the street should be able to get an AR-15.
Though these interviews only reflect a small sector of the local population, it is already clear that the multifaceted opinions on gun control span a wide spectrum, even in the same locality. The common thread among these interviews appears to be the emphasis on preemptive rather than reactive approaches to school safety. All agreed that mental health screenings, background checks, and increased educational resources are key steps for ensuring the security of our schools.
Thank you, Ariel, for these eye-opening conversations with American University staff and students.
Next up, we will be exploring the campus of American University and learning more about the impact of its Arboretum. Let's talk to Isabella Pang to find out more about how the Arboretum enhances the learning experience.
At Washington, D.C., and 20 minutes away from the White House, stands the American University. Not only is it a leading educational institution, it is also an arboretum, home to over 4,000 trees and 385 species of woody plants. I am Isabella Pang. Let's go talk to Stephanie DeStefano to find out more.
I oversee all the people that take care of our campus landscape. You know, all the plants and everything, yeah, the grounds. My favorite part of my job actually is working with students and using the Arboretum for education and getting them outside. What I did was reach out to a lot of faculty on campus to find out if they do use the Arboretum in their curriculums at all, and I found out that they really were in all kinds of interesting ways. Like the environmental science department does like soil sampling in our community garden. One poetry professor, he had an assignment for students to walk around campus and pick a flower that they liked, their favorite plant, make a poem, the perspective of that plant looking out into its environment. I really enjoy walking around campus and just talking to people randomly, or going up to a student or a neighbor or somebody taking a picture of a plant or a flower and just saying, hey, what are you doing? And asking them, like getting stories from them. I know a lot of campuses have arboretums. Not so many have arboretums like us, where the whole campus is the arboretum.
Thank you, Stephanie, for talking to us about the AU Arboretum. Back to you, Hannah.
Thanks, Isabella, for that fascinating information about the landscape of the AU campus.
Stephanie DeStefano, whom you just saw in our previous story, will be retiring this year. So Belle Burkhart and Theresa Hefferman from AU 360 decided to interview some staff closest to her and get a better understanding of her incredible impact on AU.
I'm Theresa Heffernan. And I'm Belle Burkhart. Stephanie DeStefano has been a hard-working employee on the beautiful American University campus for the past 20 years. Now she'll be retiring, and it's time to celebrate all she has accomplished in her time here.
So, one of the best things about Stephanie is she gets involved in so many different things. She's very passionate about what we do here on campus.
Just was dedicated to the work that she was doing.
She was really a mentor and a guiding figure for me.
She is always someone there to just take that first step and make sure that something is done right.
She cares and respects for everybody.
And just that she's just a good person. She cares about people and cares about students and everything that we do here. So
it's kind of like, what doesn't Stephanie do?
She's changed people's lives just by, one, making the campus beautiful and a great place to go to school.
She's sort of like the master behind snow removal. I'm definitely thankful for Stephanie.
I thank her for being a great boss. She is definitely the best boss I ever had.
I don't know what we're going to do without her.
Stephanie DeStefano has impacted students, staff, and even just passerbys on the American University campus through her commitment to campus life. Her legacy will always be remembered by those who interacted with her, and she'll be greatly missed as she goes on to retirement.
Our final story shows us the wide range of impacts that college sports can have on people's lives. Caden Weinstock has the details.
We met with Robert Sobolewski, better known as Sobi, to talk about his decorated collegiate rowing career at Bates College and the lessons he has learned as an NCAA athlete.
How has athletics shaped your life so far?
Well, first, it's given me a lot of discipline. Having a sport that keeps you in a structured routine is super helpful because you develop discipline. You wake up early, you know when to get your work done, you know when to go to class, you know when to eat, you know when to fuel right, you know how to fuel right. And then you go to practice in the evening, and then you do your work, and then you go to sleep. It gives you a real sense of meaningful work. You're in a team-based sport like rowing. It really gives a sense of like how everyone can work well together, and it gives you a sense of discipline and respect for each other as well as your competition, which I don't think you can really get if you don't participate in collegiate athletics and athletics in general. Seeing my name on that all-conference sheet spoke to just how multifaceted rowing is, and how it's not just a matter of, you know, how big you are, how strong you are. It's a matter of your character and how you really act outside the boat or off the water.
We appreciate Sobi taking the time to talk with us. From here at the AU campus, this is Caden and Blaine behind the camera. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Caden. Sobi plans to start working on Alzheimer's research at Massachusetts General Hospital and is figuring out if he wants to continue rowing or tie up the boat. I'm Hannah Koontz.
And I'm Stem Agboji.
Thank you for watching AU 360.
I woke up 30 minutes late and I'm like, okay, I'm running off for like 3 sips of coffee. And why are we still recording is my question. Okay.